students. So today we are having a special guest, Manikandan sir, who currently works as the managing director at Spero Electric. So I'm welcoming you, sir, to the session.
Thank you.
If you students, if you have any questions, you can ask in our chat box. He'll discuss with you.
So guys, what's been your learning in the last 2 days? You've been learning a lot of EV. So what's your take on EV? Does anybody want to share something? Do I look that scary that nobody has any questions? Okay, I have a question. Incorporating a black box technology in vehicles, will it enhance safety aspects? Please share your views on this. Actually, it is not publicly announced, but most electric vehicles, if you look at really good quality vehicles, like for example, I drive a Tata Nexon EV currently. I have a friend of mine in Italy who drives a Nissan Leaf. And then there are friends of mine who also drive Teslas in China. Now, there is actually a black box within electric vehicles because the controller and the BMS, when they interact with each other, they will actually record every single thing that happens with respect to the electric vehicle. Now, if I abuse the vehicle, meaning, I use it shabbily, I do the acceleration in a very erratic manner, I don't keep it smooth, it gets recorded. It's always there, but it is left to the manufacturer or the service team to peruse that and communicate. This is the big difference that Tesla has actually communicated. If you abuse your Tesla, you will get a message. If you've actually done an erratic turn, if your speed limits in that country is, let's say, 120 kilometers, you cross 120, there will be messages from the backend. Of course, you can switch off the messages, but there will be messages coming from the backend requesting you to adhere to rules. Service information comes in, your charging pattern, all that gets recorded. There is nothing that is not recorded because the controller acts as the nerve center. So everything gets recorded. It's left to the manufacturer as to how they want to use it. In fact, we make some battery packs for specific customers. They are connected on a GPS, meaning sitting in Coimbatore, I have access to the battery pack that's running in Calcutta, that's running in Alleppey, that's running in Trivandrum, and we have a say on it. In sense, I can shut down the battery if I want sitting in Coimbatore. That is the extent of control that we can have. I can limit the speed. I can limit the amount of energy that is dispersed out of the battery pack. All that is doable. It's a piece of cake these days with the technology, the way it's being advanced. And with 5G coming in and with maybe next stage of wireless electricity also getting popular globally, a lot of things will happen because of EVs.
Yeah, hope my video, audio and everything is clear. So students, like from till 2-3 days, like we had a discussion regarding like how power generation have been done with the renewable energies and smart grid technologies, and even like we had some basic discussion about the design things in electrical vehicles and things like we had a discussion. So let's discuss one more topic, like what is this mainly, what is happening with V2G? I mean, like this electrical vehicle and smart grid integration. We'll talk about this. Okay. So I hope everyone have joined, but still like a few students have joining. It's like the recorded session will be available. So if anyone misses this, like you can just take from the recorded sessions, which will be available in YouTube. I mean, like immediately after the session. So basically, like we have seen smart grid technology and electrical vehicle charging things, right? So we need to have a more like practical, or else like the things like which would be smoother in case of charging things, right? So that's why like people have found this VGI technique, vehicle grid integration. So what's happening here means, yesterday we have seen like how this electrical vehicle is charging and things are done, right? So what will happen if its peak hour comes, and maybe if some renewable energy or the power source it's not able to produce or like generate the required power demanded by the customer. So in that case, the vehicle can help the smart grid system with like a bidirectional flow of power which will happen from the vehicle if suppose like it is like in a state like whether demand is high. So in that case, like we'll go for this V2G or VGI technique. So basically it can also create an extra power source when whether dependent renewable energy sources are not available. So this is how like VGI works, and more into depth, like you can if you see the schematic diagram, and you can see yesterday we had a discussion regarding the grid technique and how grid is will be working. And in the schematic diagram, you can see what's happening with the VGI technique or V2G, vehicle to grid technology. So in that, like from grid, it is going to residential area, and we'll have a AC to DC bidirectional inverter, and from there vehicle is charged whenever like charging is required. And even in another direction, from vehicle to grid, it's done with the same circuitry, and you can see how it have been done. And this is how like V2G works. And basically what happened means like by 2050 up to 45% of household will be actively provide V2G service. And that is like an so like it is like prediction by this like a national grid ESOs, the future energy scenarios by July 2020. So hopefully like we have to wait till 2050, and maybe before that like it will happen with the development of technology. So this is how like V2G or VIG it's working. So let's see a video regarding this so that like you can able to understand more what's happening with this vehicle to grid technology. So I will just give me a moment. I will play a video. Just you can just listen to that so that like you can able to understand more what is this technique.
Thought about where you
Hope my audio video everything is clear. Just enjoy this video and understand like how it is working.
your electricity comes from and how it contributes to climate change. We know renewable energy like solar or wind is good for the planet, but the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow, so we keep relying on fossil-fueled power. To solve for the irregular nature of renewable energy, we need to store it so we can use it whenever we need. One solution comes from an unexpected source: electric vehicles. EVs not only reduce harmful emissions, but can also help stabilize the energy grid through a proven, reliable technology called vehicle-to-grid, or V2G, from Nuvi. Nuvi's technology was first developed over 20 years ago and is being used all over the world. Instead of just pulling power from the grid, V2G allows a vehicle's battery to store energy, including renewables, and then safely discharge part of that energy back to the grid when it's needed most. With V2G, a fleet like electric buses could be charged overnight when energy demand is low, drive their regular schedule, and then discharge energy back to the grid while parked. Nuvi's technology also allows batteries from multiple vehicles to be combined into a virtual power plant, or VPP. This combined energy can then be sold on energy markets, or be used to provide what's known as grid services during peak times that help stabilize the grid and prevent blackouts. V2G also saves fleet owners money by charging when electricity rates are low, and can even power buildings with low-cost energy stored in the EV batteries. All this is done while prioritizing battery health and ensuring that a vehicle has enough charge to perform its daily driving duties. Nuvi's V2G generates revenue and reduces the overall cost of owning an electric vehicle by putting their batteries to use when parked and not being driven. We are accelerating the adoption of EVs and helping integrate renewable energy into the electric grid. Now that's something the whole planet can cheer about. To learn how Nuvi can help electrify your fleet, visit nuvi.com.
So this is how like V2G works. I hope like you have understood about like V2G technology. Recently, I have seen a news regarding the EV charging station installation. So I just want to share that also. So with that, like I will wind up. So just give me a moment. So this is the recent news which I have seen. So I just want to share this news also regarding EV. So Hexicon have installed, I think, approximately 5,000 EV charging station in India. So this is the development of like things like which is happening in this EV industry. So regarding about the future EVs and like what are the current trends in the industries like which is happening about the EV technology and things. I invite Mr. Manikandan to share the insight. So over to you, Mr. Manikandan.
Thanks. I have a small presentation that I would like to run. Is this screen visible?
Yes, it's fine, sir.
Now, I'll take a few minutes to introduce why are we in EVs before I move on. Now, I'm part of a family business that has always worked on something sustainable. So we cater to the natural fiber industry's machinery requirements. So day in and day out, we've been trying to learn how we can work to the next stage to try and keep this world safe for a few more years. So I predominantly work for the jute and the coir industry in the country and in Bangladesh. So while we were doing this, we were trying to understand what exactly are allied industries which work against fossil fuel proliferation in the world. Now, that is the spark from where our diversification into electric vehicles. It was very difficult for us to move into renewable energy because solar market was getting very competitive. If you have to be in wind, you have to be a very, very large organization because designing and manufacturing windmills is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of money. So for us to diversify into something which is again sustainable, the target was to move and understand if there was an opportunity in electric mobility. This is sometime in 2015, 2016. So from there to here, we focus on personal mobility and light cargo because we feel that's the space that we can operate in vis-a-vis getting into four-wheelers or high-speed vehicles. It is largely because it is capital intensive and you need to be a large organization. Meaning somebody sitting in Coimbatore, we were skeptic whether we'll be able to pull off something dramatic. But we see an opportunity and we'll continue exploring the opportunity. I will tell you as to how things have evolved beyond COVID also. Before that, I'll run into a few things to get you to understand that EVs are not new. They go before internal combustion engines. So the world's first vehicle, which was using alternate energy compared to horse or cows, was actually electric. It was not fossil fuel. Now, that is the current thing that everybody is talking about. We are saying that EVs are next generation. No, it actually is an old technology which is being brought into today's picture. Now, this picture will tell you a comparison between what Tesla does today and what was done as early as 1910. The picture on the right, the chassis was lined up with batteries. That those days it was lead acid batteries and not lithium or the current generation batteries which are being sold, any form of chemistry. But if you see in terms of organizing the batteries, in terms of building up the chassis, nothing's dramatically changed. The picture on the left-hand side is again a traditional charging station going as early as 1910. Between that and what you see today, you don't see a great deal of a change. It still happens to be the same. So what has happened beyond the actual hardware is what is the future of electric mobility. In terms of the actual hardware, the mechanical or the electrical side, throughput remains almost the same, but for efficiencies having gone up. You have better metallurgy, you have got a better quality copper-based motor, which will give you better throughput at lesser energy being consumed. That's the only change that's happened on the mechanical side or on the electrical side. The rest of it is actually technologically driven. Now, why did electric mobility go back is because you had a very limited mileage and you needed a lot of time to charge. I have a question in the group which I will answer after we run through this. Now, this sparked the difference. When gasoline was discovered, everything changed because you could actually transport it miles and miles and miles. You don't have to wait at all. You just have to put it into the vehicle, and then the engine probably produces heat, and that heat is converted into electric energy. So that made a big, big difference. Now, if you ask me, is that difference being addressed today? No, it is not being addressed today. It still is not being addressed today. There are several ifs and buts, but our understanding of the fact that there is no other place for us to live, we are willing to make some changes in the way we live our life. That is exactly what we are doing by moving from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles. This is a very famous quote that I recollect to myself on a regular basis. One of the world's most renowned philanthropists, this is the comment that he had to make. The best business in the world is a well-run oil company. The second business is a badly run oil company. You can understand from this that the kind of money that fossil fuel industries made is humongous. Without understanding the damage that happens, they made it available at your hand, at your demand, forcing you to actually travel distances. For example, I don't mind traveling Coimbatore to Bangalore by road than taking a flight because it's almost the same time, but I have the comfort of being at my own time frame. You see the difference. If I fly, I'm dependent on a Vistara or a SpiceJet or an Indigo. But if I drive my own car, I'm at my own control of time. Now, this sense came into our head because fossil fuel was available at your own demand and whims and fancies. This changed the way the world lived. To give you an acute example, because Henry Ford made cheaper cars, accessible cars, the world's economy changed. Ford Model T is one reason why globalization actually happened. There is not that, people found it easy to get apples from Washington or oranges from Florida or milk from New Zealand is a must. Globalization started because transportation became cheaper, transportation became easier in your own hands. Now, that is exactly how globalization shaped up. Now, this is a very simple illustration that I would like you to pay some attention on. The old DNA and the new DNA of mobility. Mechanically driven, today it is electrically driven. Internal combustion engine to electric motors. Now, the next few things are very, very critical. Mechanically controlled, electronically controlled. Standalone operation, intelligent and interconnected. Why do I say it's intelligent and interconnected? I was talking before I opened this session that The controller has enough of memory to store how exactly the vehicle is used. That means it is not a dumb box. A standalone internal combustion engine is subtly dumb. I'm using the right word, subtly dumb. Today, it is not subtly dumb. Information is being stored in internal combustion engines today also. But what is critical is in electric mobility, the information storage becomes very, very easy. And today's algorithm gives you the opportunity of trying to control and to understand what can happen to the data and help you become a better driver, help you save fuel, help you travel safely. This is on the intelligence side. On the other side, interconnected. You see vehicles which are becoming on an autopilot mode. Tesla talks about autopilot mode. How is it possible? It is because it's interconnected. You connect yourself with the entire environment, not just vehicles in front of you. Communication happens between electric vehicles, between them. Communication can happen between electric vehicles and internal combustion engines. Communication can happen between vehicles, signals, other IoTs that are there in the world. Now, that is what we mean by interconnected. Meaning, on a 4G or a 5G, you will be able to, your vehicle will know very well where the next charging station is, where the next charging station, where cheaper power is available. And I don't know how many of you have noticed, 4G onwards, Google or iOS, they listen to you. Your mic need not be on at all. Whatever you see in the movies is not fantasy. It happens. These are keywords which are taken by not the companies like Alphabet, which owns Google, or by Apple, but they are associated companies. The reason is that is how aggressively the world is moving towards gaining a customer. If you feel like having an ice cream, you're talking to your classmate about longing to have an ice cream, in probably the next 30 to 45 minutes or an hour, you may or you may not get a message which talks about an offer which is available on Swiggy or Zomato related to an ice cream. I have seen it personally happen. I have had interactions with people who have actually committed that, yes, it happens. Now, that is the power of communication. That is the power of technology, meaning, in a nutshell, we are living in a smart and interconnected world. Mobility is not going to be absolved of that. The moment you move on to a smart vehicle, it can be internal combustion engine or electric vehicles, automatically you gain traction to be connected to the system. You are part and parcel of the system. You are not going to be able to go back at all. How do you take the positives of it and leave out the negatives is in your hands. Now, this is a very, very interesting aspect. Nikhil spoke about how vehicle to grid becomes a key aspect in today's world. Now, I will throw a completely different scenario. 2.7 billion tons of carbon dioxide is being emitted on a daily basis only by transportation. Now, all of you know very well that post COP 2022 or 2020, it has been decided that India, I'm not talking about a global perspective, India as a country has agreed to become carbon neutral by 2070. It means 48 years from now, India says we will not emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Do you know how difficult that target is? It's not a simple target. It is a humongous target. To achieve that, you have to have a multi-pronged approach. You have to go completely off fossil fuel. Coal can no more be used to be your primary source of fuel for energy production. You'll have to go renewable. If you're going renewable, you have a problem. The power that you get now, be it wind or any renewable source for that matter, if I don't cap it now, for example, the photovoltaic activity at, I don't want to use the time 6:40 now, but imagine photovoltaic activity at 10:30 in the morning. If I do not consume it or take it to the grid and consume it directly, it is not available at 10:31. What is gone is gone. So if I have to cap it, or if I don't have the capacity to evacuate and use it, what do I have to do? I have to store it. Now, where do I store it? One of the solutions is the batteries that are there in electric vehicles. Why is it critical? Because electric vehicles need batteries to run or to store energy and then discharge on demand. That means grid stabilization is possible by electric vehicles. This is what we are trying to achieve by understanding the concept of vehicle to grid. Mark my words, by 2070, almost every electric vehicle in the world will somehow be or the other connected to the grid or to an individual house or to their office and release energy to the system back and forth. They will definitely do that because of a very simple reason. I told you fossil fuel is available in abundance. Because of that, you have forgotten the world of range anxiety or mileage anxiety. So typically speaking, you always try and keep some fuel or the other in your vehicle. In the same manner, if you have energy in your batteries, if you're not going to use it, you probably can discharge it back to the grid or to your house or office and charge it through a renewable source during the daytime. Meaning in the night, during peak power supply time, which is morning 7 to 9 or 6 to 9 and evening 6 to 9. These are considered to be global peak hours of power requirement. During that time, you surrender the power that you have in your vehicle to the grid or to your household directly, and then charge it the next day when the vehicle is actually not working. And a very interesting aspect of statistics, I don't have it here on the slide, but you should understand that the Automobile Association of the World says 70% of the vehicles that are sold already are not on the road at any point of time, meaning hardly 30% of the vehicles that are there are on the road at every throughput. So that gives me an amazing opportunity of using that 70% to stabilize my grid if I go completely renewable. Imagine 70%, 2 times the vehicle that's on the road is actually in houses or offices or in garages parked, and you don't need it for about an hour. It can be used to stabilize the grid. This will happen on its own because technology paves the way for interconnectivity. You don't have to do it. There are algorithms which are already developed, so it will happen on its own. The second aspect that I've written here is accidents. Accidents actually cause more death than what COVID did. I'm not undermining the pandemic COVID, but I'm telling you guys, road accidents are a big, big killer. Now, if vehicles get smart, you will see them slow down before an accident. You will know very well before an accident, vehicles will get interconnected. They will get intelligent, but don't worry, they will never become a Terminator. What you see in Terminator 4, 5 is not going to happen because there are checks and balances which have been created by human beings. Products are artificial intelligence, but then there is a level at which we stop it. There are societies which are there, which govern these policies. So never worry about the fact that there is going to be a situation where machines take over the world. But yes, the warning that I gave you in the previous part of my presentation, your privacy is lost. To what extent do you want to give up your privacy is left to you. Now, this is another interesting aspect that I wanted you to know that actually helps because of electric mobility. You can see the comparison in dense areas between a 4-wheeler and a 2-wheeler. You can see the difference between the time that actually it takes. You save time by being on a 2-wheeler vis-a-vis a 4-wheeler. And again, there is an interesting aspect. 1.8 passengers per vehicle on the road is what has been recorded globally. So this 1.8 includes four-wheelers, three-wheelers, buses and trucks. That means I can officially say that 70% of the cars that are on the road are on personal mobility. One person on the car. You can imagine if that person goes on a two-wheeler, see the amount of fuel that he or she will save. You get more mobility per space. See the amount of emission that you will be able to reduce from a car to an electric car, to a motorcycle, to an electric cycle. Now, that is the reason why we decided we will go on an electric cycle and not move into a scooter or a car, because this statistic was very, very critical for us when we ventured into electric mobility. What we did different is we set standards and we said we will wait for a unique go-to-market strategy. Now, I'm getting into the unique market strategy because I would like to inspire at least half of you to think the way we are thinking in any product sector that you want to operate in or any service sector that you want to operate in. We crowdfunded. We are probably still vying for the maximum amount of money that was crowdfunded by an electric or by a company. We are actually vying for that. We raised about 83 lakhs over 2 crowdfunded campaigns to make our electric cycles available in the country. There have been crowdfunded campaigns which have raised more money than this, but not from a product sector, but from a social cause sector, not from a product sector. I repeat, it's not been possible that we hold on to this for about 3 years. The reason why we are able to hold on this for the 3 years is because the crowdfunding market in India is not growing. There are not many crowdfunded campaign sites which are coming up to offer products based funding. That is a very, very sad part of the whole system. The global leaders, Indiegogo and Kickstarter, are not willing to come to India because 75% or 80% of the campaigns that have gone in from India on these websites have floundered, meaning they don't want to look at India as a possible target market. But I'm telling you guys, this is a very, very innovative way of actually building a product, reaching target audience, raising money from them and actually delivering the product. If you have the faith that you can make the product and deliver the product, this is an amazing opportunity. Try reading more about crowdfunding. You will definitely get inspired to start building products or services out of your own minds, your own experiences, and reach greater heights. Right now, we make 3 variants from our stable, and we are actually moving into multiple platforms. This is the 3rd variant that we actually made because we have learned that to survive in India, cycles are going back. To be on a cycle is not considered to be Uber anymore. It is a very niche market. The common man will not be able to afford an electric vehicle or an electric cycle. So we had to go around the bush to be in business. We started making or designing a cargo variant, and now the cargo variant is ready to go into the market. We have 3 people who use our products in Bangalore, Chennai, and in Coimbatore. We're looking at scaling it up. Why do we think this market is going to grow? It's because e-commerce is growing in India leaps and bounds. Are we going to stop there? No, we are not going to stop there. COVID taught us a very, very critical lesson. But for the top 10 companies in India, all of us share the same scenario. We decided we'll scale up our capacities. We've almost finished our capacity or our facility. By July, we are expecting production to start in our new facility. We are geared up to produce 300 cycles a month on a shift. We can gear up as quickly as 6 months to double that capacity. As the market demands, we can go up. So are we going to stop there? We used COVID to actually sensitize ourselves and make a speed cycle right out of Coimbatore. We still have some teething issues because the supply chain is not appropriately in our control. The design is not yet perfected. We expect to perfect this over the next 90 to 120 days, and then we'll go back to the approving authorities and see if we can offer this into the market. But we are proud that Isha Yoga's founder is waiting for this to be commercially available so that he can endorse the product and start using this product. Now, do we stop there? No. We sense a potential in the energy business. So we are working with solar panel manufacturers out of India. We are working with a company based out of Andhra Pradesh to offer their shingles along with our battery packs and charging stations. We have a joint venture with a British company to offer charging stations in India by December 2022. These charging stations are actually going to be intelligent, not what we have now, will be open to reverse metering. That is how the charging stations are going to be offered from December 2022. The design is ready for the Coimbatore Smart City. I hope to get a funding agency to part pay. We are willing to put a solar panel from our side. The government has everything else in terms of the infrastructure. We can alter the existing ones. There's going to be 3,000 bus shelters in Tamil Nadu, which is going to be modified. We hope to take 6 out of Coimbatore and get them modified with solar panels, and to ensure that there are bicycle parking lanes at the back to promote bicycling, not necessarily electric, but basic cycling. And then we are going one step forward where we are integrating what learning that we have from Spero's energy business to what we have learned in natural fiber, and try and see if I can start building a bus shelter which actually is sustainable, which gives you the comfort of the protecting you from the heat. At the same time, plants gives you a place to sit amidst plants, meaning carbon dioxide is absorbed and oxygen is released. You don't have to exhale, or you don't have to inhale the carbon dioxide that's coming in from the existing ICE vehicles. You have the opportunity of inhaling better air. This is a collaborative project along with a sustainability expert in Spain. The rough sketches have come in a few weeks back. We are waiting for approvals from the corporation authorities to see if we can build one shelter like this right out of the corporation's office in Town Hall in Coimbatore. That is the effort that we are trying to do now. This is an integration between our learning on use of sustainable materials, IoT, and renewable energy. To top it all, this is the last thing that I would like you to see as a message from our side, that if you want to leave a mark for yourself in this world, there is every single opportunity. Why do I say that? Is because the Prime Minister has set lofty goals of almost close to 450 gigawatt of renewable power by 2025. We are almost at 140, 150. You can see the aggression with which we are growing. I said by 2070, we go carbon neutral. But by 2030, we have agreed to reduce our emissions to the levels of 2005 minus 30%, meaning whatever were our carbon emissions in 2005, we have agreed to reduce that by 30%. If you have to do that, every single individual needs to contribute towards afforestation. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. And when I say afforestation, we are talking about urban gardens, edible or non-edible, but again, driven by a lot of IoT, driven by renewable energy support. Otherwise, it's not going to be feasible or tangible. And this is the last message that I would like to leave with you guys. But one thing is for sure, electric mobility is here for sure. It's not going to go back. Do not get paranoid by the accidents that you see in the last few days. There are multiple reasons for that. One probably is cheap imports. Regulations will get stringent, like what's happening in Singapore. 2, Summer is a very, very tough time. Lithium is a slightly unstable material and needs better control, probably due to compromises or due to an aggression to get into the market. A few players have made some mistakes, but these mistakes are definitely going to be addressed with. You will see TVS, you will see Bajaj, you will see Hero Motorcorp come back into electric mobility with a very, very different thought process. Tatas are there, Mahindras are announcing their EV policy in July 2022. I am certain by 2025, at least 10% of vehicles sold in the country electric, if not more. But I wish by 2025 we move up that scale to 25%, but I'm not sure if it's 25% feasible, but at least 10% sounds definitely feasible. And one more thing, it's not just the vehicles being sold. As I told you, the vehicles will definitely be intelligent, will be interconnected, and will tell you what to do, what not to do. But to take the advice or not to take the advice is always in the hands of the humans. We rule machines, machines don't rule us. We take possible, sensible advice from machines, and I hope we live a very sustainable, happy, and economically friendly life. That is all I have as a message and as a learning for you guys. And I'm open to questions. Any questions, feel free to ask. But I have a question to start with. If it's okay, Nikhil, can I start with there, or do you want to moderate it from here?
No. You can continue, sir. No issues. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question from Padma Tej. It is hard to charge the car for hours. Is there any other way? Now, there are two different beliefs in charging. One is AC, or when I say AC, we are taking from the plug. We take from the grid, we charge our vehicles, or we take it directly from batteries. So AC charging and DC charging is there. In AC charging also, you've got two ways to handle. One is your regular slow charger, meaning depending on the capacity of your battery, depending on your capacity of your battery, you decide how much power has to go into your battery. I'll give you an example. I have a Nexon, which is a 3 kilowatt hour battery. So a 20% to a 100% charge, actually on a slow charging, basically the charging box given by Tata Motors is a 3 kilowatt charger. It takes about 8 to 9 hours. Now the same thing, if I go into a 7.7 or a 22 kilowatt charger, what happens? The time gets reduced, meaning the amount of power that goes into the battery. Simple example. Earlier straws were small, and when you started having smoothies, the small straw was not enough. You were given a thicker straw. That's all. The power that goes from the wall into the battery is either sent slowly or it is sent at a faster pace, meaning more power goes into the battery, it charges faster. Now this is fast charging, which is available. The other aspect is DC charging, battery to battery. The reason why battery to battery is still not grown in India is because you need a spare battery kept there. It becomes expensive. That will faster charge your batteries. DC to DC will be faster than AC to DC. Typically 3 types of charging. Today you have slow charging. You also have fast charging. And there are places where DC to DC charging is available. It is going to grow tremendously in India also. I hope I have answered Padma's question. Will you do conversion of a normal cycle to an e-bike? As a company, we don't want to do that because of a very simple reason. Normal cycle frames are not made for speeds beyond 15 kilometers per hour. Now that means an electric cycle has an option of going up to 25 kilometers. And if you have the capacity or the physical bandwidth within yourself, you can push an electric cycle to go up to 35 kilometers per hour by using the motor assist. That means the frames are manufactured to take a pothole at 35 kilometers top speed. A normal cycle may not have that. One. Two, to change a normal cycle to an electric cycle, I'll either have to change your rear wheel or I have to go for a crank fit, meaning all cycle frames are not the same. Dimensions will vary. This is a problem, but globally kits are available. I have a friend in Austria through my cell manufacturing company collaboration. This company is called Addy in Austria. They make kits for regular cycles. The problem in India is that you will not want to pay the kind of money that is required to convert your regular cycle to an electric cycle. The cost is almost 90% of a new electric cycle. For example, I sell from 45,000 right until 90,000. If you want to take a kit from me and retrofit, or if you send me a cycle of yours and want me to retrofit, I probably will bill you 42,000 rupees. This is the problem. And again, taking on from where Nikhil left on the vehicle to grid integration, in India, we do not have peak hour prices in domestic sector, but very soon you will have that. Very soon you will have that because of the renewable energy power targets that the government of India has, rooftop power generation is not taking off. Tata BP Solar is actually aggressively working on that. So in that orientation, you will see a lot of households, lot of apartment communities going in for solar installations. While that happens, parallelly, as power generation companies or power distribution companies get privatized, you will start seeing this difference. You will start seeing the difference. There will be variations. Peak power will be higher, and between 9:30 to 3:30, you may have cheaper power because, as I told you, there is solar power which is available during almost 9 months in a year in India, at least in India. At that point of time, if you do not evacuate the power is wasted. And to give you a simple example, as of today, the cheapest power pact agreement in India is 1 rupee 90 paise per unit of solar power, which is a huge difference because 15 years back, solar power was bought by distribution companies on long-term agreements right until 20 rupees a unit. Even as we speak, there are companies which are paying 20 rupees a unit, and there are companies which are paying 1 rupee 90 paise a unit. That is because when the plant was installed 20 years back, the cost of solar panels were higher. That is based on that agreement. And today's agreement, efficiencies have gone up and the cost of solar panels have come down. That is the reason why the cost has come down. And trust me, India has the cheapest power cost in the world. No other distribution company in the world is able to buy at 1 rupee 90 paise per unit of solar power. Nikhil, are we good?
So students, do you have any extra questions?
I have a question again from Padma, which talks about carbon neutrality.
Okay.
It is a very simple clarification. The amount of carbon dioxide that we produce should be equal to the amount of oxygen that is produced so that it negates itself. Meaning, we don't contribute to any of the ozone depletion or any other impact on the environment. So, be it transportation, be it power production, we don't flush any carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That is what we mean by carbon neutrality. But it might not be possible in totality. So that is the reason why we say carbon neutrality. We don't say completely shut off carbon. On the other side, we will be creating a carbon sink. To give you an example or to elaborate it further, Bhutan is called a carbon sink in this part of the world. Their oxygen production is much, much higher than the amount of carbon dioxide that they emit into the atmosphere. So they are called a carbon sink. In a similar manner, India, its urban side is actually going to be involved in afforestation. In urban spaces, we are expected to get greenery into the picture so that we can locally offset the carbon. I'm not saying you plant trees in Coimbatore for the carbon dioxide emission in Delhi. It is likely to be localized. States might offset themselves is what I'm visualizing. I'm not sure about it. There are no policies about that. But as a country, we've got a target. We are going to go carbon neutral by 2070.
So thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today, sir. It's really valuable information for those aspirants. Thank you, sir. So students, we have another surprise from us. That is, we are conducting a quiz program. So we are having Ashwin, who is a co-founder of Ashvidya. So the Quizmaster will take you to the quiz program. And also the top 3 students will get an exciting prize from us. So over to you, Ashwin.
Thank you so much.
Participating students. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. And hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time for attending the quiz. Thank you, Mr. Manikandan. It was, having spent some time in sustainability space, it's always good to, meet a practitioner and to learn what is new, especially in the EV space, which is definitely the future. So friends, we have this quiz which will be done on a platform called AHA Slides. So I'll be just sharing the link in the chat. You should be able to see it now. The link is ahaslides.com/EVRise. You can either paste the link, click on the link, or paste the same link in your mobile or computer browser, and you can enter your details and we'll start the quiz. I'll share my screen also now, so you can see how this will look like. So yeah, so this is how this entire thing will look for you. As I was saying, the quiz on EV, smart grids and renewables. Please click on either, if you can't see the link in the chat, please click on this. It might not be a clickable link here. I'm not sure. Sometimes you don't get it as a clickable link. So what I would request you is just paste the link. I'm just typing it again for everybody's benefit. We already have few people who are joining in. We'll wait for, this is the link. You can paste it in your browser window and, attempt the quiz, or rather join in the quiz. I can already see about 10 people.
Can you please tell the link again? The students are asking.
It's in, I pasted it in the chat, ma'am. I pasted it in the chat. I've pasted the chat to everyone. I'm sure. Can you see it? Are you able to see?
Students, you can type and search.
Yeah. So can you see here? I hope everyone can see this, my screen. It's ahaslides.com/EVRise. If you type that, you should get it. I hope all of you are able to understand and click the link. Any issues, Nikhil, please let me know. I hope everyone can see the link, and I pasted it a couple of times.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine, right?
If those who are finding difficulty, they can just directly type the link in the website, no? So they can just go to that. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a straightforward link, the same last 5-6 digits as letters as the program's EVRise, but it's on a platform called ahaslides.com. We already have about 24 people who have joined it. We'll just wait for close to the number of participants we have to join in, and then we can start the quiz. I hope my video is not buffering. Please let me know. I will then accordingly act on it. Nikhil, please let me know in case my video or the.
No, it's fine. It's
No,
fine.
sir,
Everything
it's
is fine.
fine. It's fine, sir.
Okay, just quickly again, you can either go to ahaslides.com. If you do that, it will ask you enter code. Then you have to type EVRISE and say join, or you can just type the entire link and press enter in your browser window. Then it will open the page where you will have to enter your name, number, and email, which is essential for us to reach out to the winners and participants. And we also need to verify that you indeed are the ones who are attending, who have attended this program. So for that sake, we need your personal details or nothing else, right? So I can see about 21 people. I hope everyone else also is not having any trouble. Maybe we'll wait for another couple of minutes. Nikhil, is that okay? Or to start the quiz?
No, it's
Yes,
fine.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So it's 7:12 on my watch. I'll wait till 7:14 when we can start. The link will be on the entire quiz. Anyone who's joining late can also, who's taking a break after the session, can also join on the link. You can attempt the quiz on your phones or on your laptop. So let me just quickly tell you about the rules. We will be covering the topics you have learned of the last 4 days, which is renewables, smart grids, and electric vehicles. It will be more application oriented, some bit of trivia. You have to answer the faster. The faster you answer, the more points you get. So if you know the answer, or even if you don't know, and you want to take a guess, do that in the first few seconds, because the later you take, the lesser points you get. So every question has same point, no negative marking. All questions are multiple choice questions, okay? And every question will have 30 to 40 seconds to answer, depending on the length of the question. And based on that, we have the time. And as I said, the faster you answer, the more points you get, okay? See, we have Sri Hari, Jay Sanatan, Jay Vasantan, and lot of hearts coming. Harishankar, Mohint, Ananya, Anish, Navroop. Thank you for joining today. Okay, so we are at 7:14. I hope most of you, whoever is joining, has joined. The first question is a trial question, means there are no points associated, just for you to get used to. Click on the scroll down. If you can't see all the options together, click on the option and press submit. That's all you need to do. Don't forget to press submit. That's how you can record your response. So we'll start the quiz now with the first question, which is a trial question for now. Okay, so here we go with the question number 1. Which of the following is not a renewable energy? And your options on your screen are geothermal, wave energy, natural gas, or hydro. Which of these is not a renewable energy? Which of the following is not a renewable energy? You have 10 more seconds to answer. You can see the timer ticking down. I hope all of you are figuring it out. Scroll down and press submit after selecting the option. Yes, indeed, it is natural gas. Just a quick thing about natural gas. Most of, as you know, a lot of cities have now got natural gas distribution, which is definitely a cleaner fuel, both from a carbon and other pollutants perspective versus the petrol or diesel. However, that does not mean that it reduces the carbon emissions to zero. There is definitely, because it is of petroleum or hydrocarbon origin. So please remember that it is a cleaner, but not the cleanest. The cleanest is, of course, renewables, but there are a lot of things to consider, which maybe during the course of this quiz, we will chat about that as well. Okay, so now the questions will carry points. So first question, which of these countries meets almost 100% of their electricity via renewable energy? Spain, South Korea, Costa Rica, or China, sorry. Spain, Costa Rica, or China. There is a hint in the image. Which of these countries meets approximately 100% of their electricity requirement from renewable energy? Don't know why Mohint is not happy, but keep the emojis coming. Yes, indeed, Costa Rica. The hint was actually this is a three-toed sloth, which is also the national animal of Costa Rica. They meet almost 100% of their energy from. So Costa Rica actually in 2018, almost 300 days of their power out of a calendar year met through renewable energy, almost all their power, which is hydro, geothermal, biomass, wind, and solar. Of course, there is also a bit of geographical advantage which they have with respect to hydro, which they are able to harness to get renewable power. There are many other countries like Norway, Sweden, who are close to 95% plus Iceland also close to 95 to 100% renewable energy situation. But largely is hydro, geothermal, and wind, which is a great thing to have. Okay, let's move to the next question. Which of the following reasons explains why floating solar power plants generate more energy than ground-based ones? Is it because of lesser land requirement, lesser water needed for cleaning panels, water cooling effect on solar panels, or lesser transmission losses? Which of these is the reason why a floating solar power plant will generate more power than a ground-based one? So be very careful what I'm asking. I'm asking about the power generation by the solar power plant. Which of that is the reason? This is a photo of, as you know, how a floating power plant will look like. It is indeed the cooling effect of the water, because of which the efficiency of the solar panel goes up, and hence it generates more power. However, having said that, because there is lesser cooling effect improves the efficiency of panels, and because it's on water, there is of course lesser land needed. So the land which otherwise would have been used for some alternate use need not be used for a solar power plant. Also, yes, there are of course the other advantage of a floating power plant is you don't have to look for a water source. This is one of the challenges, especially the lot of solar power plants which have come in Rajasthan or in the arid areas, where the water is also cleaning the panels is also a big challenge. So that from that perspective also, floating solar power plants should be part of our energy mix. Okay, let's move to the question number 3. In Uttarakhand, Avani Energy is just a company, has set up 7 25 kilowatt hour power plants using this source, which is of course renewable in nature, which earlier used to cause forest fires. What energy source is this which Avani Energy has turned it into generate power? Is it cattle dung, animal fodder, pine needles, or wood chips? What is this energy source which is found in Uttarakhand, which used to be the source of forest fire, but thanks to the efforts of this social enterprise called Avani Energy, they have been able to turn it into a source of power. So what is this energy source which we are talking about? No, it's not wood chips or cattle dung. It is indeed pine needles. So in the certain regions in Uttarakhand, the pine needles, they have a tendency to catch fire, especially in the dry season. And hence what happens is, because of that, the diversity in those areas gets destroyed also. So this company found a way to gasify these biomass, which is a biomass source, and generate power out of it. Of course, it also had other good effects because collecting the pine needles required women to go and collect them, or other people to collect them, which generated employment. And it's also started helping the medicinal plants which were otherwise destroyed in forest fires. What you see in the picture is a briquette, which is basically after the generation of the power by gasification, this briquette can also be used as a fuel in a lot of applications as well. So a great innovation, you can say. The technology is very old, but adapted to the requirement which was there in that particular case, which is the key thing. Okay, so let's look at the leaderboard now. So we have Mohin JS at the top with 1,677 points, closely followed by Keshav and Harishankar at 1,353 points. Not too much separates. It's a matter of one question. Okay. Let's look at the let's move on to the next question. India has announced over 70,000 electric vehicle charging stations at these locations, which currently serve some other purpose. What are these locations? So 70,000 of these places are electric charging stations, which actually serve some other purpose. Which of these are these? Is it petrol pumps, highway shops, police stations, or bus terminals? What are these locations which Government of India has announced to set up electric vehicle charging stations as well? As you know, that is one of the roadblocks which a lot of people have talked about for increase in electric vehicle ownership. It is indeed petrol pumps which have been a lot of these petrol distribution companies are looking for partnerships or themselves setting up electric vehicle charging points, which I'm guessing initially will not be charged. People won't be charged for it, or people will won't be asked to pay for it, but maybe over a period of time, there will be some other models which will also develop. Having said that, there are private companies such as Blue Smart who have raised money and who are also requesting, or rather their model is also to develop these electric charging station in public places. Like if you have a space, you can lend it to them and they can set up a charging station. So and Blue Smart also has an electric vehicle fleet. So a lot of these, so it's going to be like a combination of many of these players, charging infrastructure, fleet owners, landlords, petrol pump owners, which are all going to come together for the EV revolution, if you ask me, to progress. Started in 2015, Formula E, which is the E for electric, has now attained a FIA World Championship status, which Indian companies amongst its 11 teams. So it is now a World Championship status, no longer an experimental one. Is it Tata, Mahindra, Maruti, or Ather? Which Indian company is amongst its 11 teams which are running, which are currently part of the Formula E Championship? Different from the F1, but definitely as equally competitive. It is not Tata, Maruti, or Ather. It is indeed Mahindra, who was part of the initial teams, and the team is called the Mahindra Racing. Incidentally, Mahindra also is the only team on that who is net zero carbon footprint. We talked about zero carbon footprint in the session. So they have, so basically what would have happened is they would have tried to reduce their emissions and also offset their emissions by either renewable energy or planting. Some other way they would have offset their carbon emissions. Sorry about that. Okay, let's move to question number 6. An electric vehicle, sorry, I'm using this abbreviation, has 3 components: AC storage unit, dash, and propulsion system. Fill in the blanks with the what would be the appropriate one. Controller, lithium battery, electric motor, combustion engine. Which of these is one of the main components of an electric vehicle? Controller, lithium battery, electric motor, or the combustion engine? It is the controller, which is called also the brain of the electric vehicle, acts as a pipeline to the electric motor. It moderates the power, it converts the power from DC to AC, or increases or decreases the amperage which is required. So controller is the key element. Sorry. Sorry, is there something someone is trying to tell me?
No, it's fine. You can continue.
Oh, okay. No, there was some what sort of like static was coming. So I wasn't sure whether somebody was trying to communicate that.
No. You can just continue. No issues. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Let's look at the leaderboard again. Keshav has moved to the first spot, displacing Mohint, and we have a new person in top 3. Navroop has moved to 3rd. Harishankar has moved down, I think, to 4th. Advait at 5, Gogol at 6, Anish at 7, Srihari at 8, and so on and so forth. So still we have 4,000 points remain to play. Let us see if any of you can catch up with the top 3 or if there is a further change. In all the quizzes we have done, there is always a change in the last question. So just keep lookout. It's always good fun to see how it pans out. Okay, this element is key to electric vehicle batteries. However, its reserves found in Congo, which also affect the habitat of gorillas. Identify this key element. Is it lithium, cobalt, neodymium, or terbium? Which of these elements, which is a key element to electric vehicle battery, is found in Congo, which is also the habitat of gorillas? And obviously, because of the mining which happens there, illegal mining and extraction of this element, it affects their habitat significantly. What element are we talking about? The same element is also used in cell phone batteries as well. Lithium would have been an obvious answer. Unfortunately, lithium is not found there. Lithium is found more in Chile and some other places of the American countries. Cobalt is the right answer for this, and it is mined from a mineral called coltan, which is found in Democratic Republic of Congo, also called as DRC. And more than 80% of the habitat or 80% of gorilla numbers have declined. They are found only in those areas. So one of the things which is happening, especially in worldwide and with respect to not just electric vehicle batteries, but with respect to such precious rare metals or rare elements, is the aspect of conflict mineral disclosure. So these regions have often seen conflicts happen because of the mining related to this particular mineral. So, or use of child labor and all those things. So companies who supply or make these batteries are being asked to disclose how much of, if they are indeed using conflict minerals, and asking them to keep it away. So once you declare, then you can't go back. So that is one of the things which is happening at an international level, that there is pressure on battery makers or people who source batteries, that they disclose, and even mining companies to disclose how much of the mineral is coming from conflict zones like these, which affect the habitat of the gorillas as well. Question number 8. A smart grid allows two-way transmission of electricity and dash, which including smart meters, appliances, and renewable energy. All these are part of the smart grid. Fill in the blanks with the what we are talking about. What does it allow? Two-way transmission of electricity and dash, internet, heat, power, or data. What is it that they allow transmission of? Smart grid allows the transmission of. It is indeed data, and this is the key element on which power is understood. I was just put it as an option to confuse you people, and I was hoping that some of you will not go for it. So what happens in a smart, and I don't know if you have had an opportunity to look at a smart meter, which has been deployed in some of the cities in India. What this allows is that it gives you a gives you, not you, but yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, a consumer will be able to see how much he or she is consuming, the amount of power he or she is able to consume, and the utility is also able to see. So from a utility management perspective, they can manage this on a real-time basis. In a futuristic world, what we may see is a smart grid, which will where consumers will also be generating power and supplying power, and this entire infrastructure will be sort of self-contained kind of a thing, unlike what we have currently. So that is what we have. We will have transmission of data. There will be a lot of pilots which have happened. Many countries have gone like very ahead in terms of deploying smart meters, and we do hope that this will come. It's definitely something which will happen in our country also. Okay, so we have a big change. Google has moved up. M. Google Raj, led by Keshav, Mohint, Omar Sharif, Anish. So there is a big change in the top three. Let's see. Moving on to the last two questions of the quiz. While conventional grid spends times on fixing outages, a smart grid automatically detects and responds to transmission and distribution problems. What is this ability known as? Is it IoT, self-heal, bot, or AI? The picture will give you a hint. IoT, self-heal, bot, or AI. What is this ability of a smart grid which automatically detects and responds to outages, which are typically transmission and distribution problems, rather than a conventional grid where you have a problem, then someone goes there, tries to fix it. It is not proactive. So, and not automatic also, as we all know with experience. It is self-help, and the hint was, of course, as you know, Wolverine, who has the DC, the superhero who has the ability to self-heal. If you haven't checked out Wolverine, you should definitely go and see it whenever you have the time. Yes, he is a superhero who can self-heal, and the smart grid can indeed do that as well. So, and as I said earlier, also consumers also can get involved in generating power and selling power, and then the grid can also figure out, okay, what is the best way to manage the entire system. So it's a very interesting and a very lovely self-contained system if we can achieve that. However, there are many steps to that journey, and hopefully we'll get there. Okay, so now let's look at the leaderboard before we move to the last question. Again, a change. Okay, so Keshav has got back his position. Mohint is back at third. Let's see, Navroop is down, I guess, and so is Harishankar, but we can still see a change because Google lost the last question. So let's see if there is a further change. One question, fastest correct answer gives you most points. Increase in electric vehicles can also lead to increase in loads and cause outages. Which of the following options can help prevent it? Smart charging station, which allows scheduled charging when demand is low. Dedicated off-grid renewable energy stations. Smart meters allowing utilities to monitor the charging. Or all of the above. Which of these options, like as we discussed, a lot of electric vehicles means a lot of load will increase. Our utilities may not be in a position to handle that, and it can cause outages for the grid. Which of these will help prevent these things? Yep, simple one to finish. All of you got it right. As I said, that this quiz is a little bit about learning as well, not necessarily a trivia shootout. So the idea was to give you an overall idea about how what it might happen in the future. So as I said, it will be a combination of all these things. So you might have customers like Mr. Manikandan spoke about lack of peak pricing for consumers that might come into picture. So you might see people charge their electric vehicles and other things in the night by taking the advantage of the lower pricing, or it might get auto scheduled also. And the same way, some consumers may say, okay, there is more, I have a advantage of setting up a renewable energy plant, which might help me get more credit, or the government might incentivize people to do that, or such stations might also come up to offset the demand, or you have a dedicated line of charging. And all those things are within the realms of possibilities now. And I'm so glad that all of you are at that stage where you can be part of this revolution which will be there. Very, very happy for all of you. If many of you choose to come into this line, it'll be an interesting field, definitely. So we come to the end of the quiz. Let's look at the final results. And Keshav wins it, followed by Gogol, Omar Sharif, Harishankar, Advait, Mohint, Anish, Oshita, Navroop. Great quizzing, all of you. Lot of ups and downs. Very, very great quizzing by all of you. Thank you so much for joining. We will once check all the results. We'll verify once, and we'll share with the organizers, and they will communicate with the winners who the winners are. Thank you, Nigin. I hope I didn't exceed my time limit, and I hope me being not a strict sector expert didn't exceed my brief with respect to talking about electric vehicles and the topic. So I will apologize if I did so, but I hope people enjoyed it.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you for this session. Thank you for this session. And thank you, students, for joining us with us this wonderful session. And students, the certificate will available from tomorrow itself. You can download it from our CRP portal. Under there's a tab called certificate, and you can download our certificate. The winners, those winners, you will get an exciting prize from us, and our organizer will contact you soon. Have a good day.